Hello, everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulty. We had to restart the program. Our guest is Dr. Vasu Tolia. Vasu Tolia is a physician and visual artist. She is sharing with us her experience that she went through after finishing her medical career and the transition that followed, and some of the challenges she had. Dr. Tolia, Vasuanti, I'm going to ask if you can pick up where we left off. You were talking about what things were like when you were coming to the end of your medical career. Can you go back to that point and
Sure,
kind of restart that?
sure. Um, so mine is really a story about a person, who was leading a very purposeful, very busy life, and it came to a quiet. And when you're leading a purposeful life and you have a busy schedule from morning to night, I was working like 10 to 14-hour days on many a days because I was a mentor, teacher, clinician, researcher. So I had clinics and schedules and papers to review and revise and meet deadlines and everything. So when you have been in that kind of a situation, you are always purposeful. And when the purpose is gone, um, you are not usually prepared to deal with it unless you have planned a transition. And I had not planned a transition like that. So for me, it became a little difficult because I'm not the kind of person who can just while away time watching TV or just reading books. Although, don't get me wrong, I love reading books and I love to be literary. But most of the times I had written research papers and things like that. So this silence was kind of no at me. And fortunately, I had a lot of support with my husband and my children. And even though they were so supportive, I still felt untethered, like I felt purposeless. So I had to find something to handle that feeling so that I could bring purpose back in my life. And it was not an easy step. At times I felt empty, at times I felt listless. And then I slowly decided to start doing activities that might make me feel myself again. And I thought about, starting singing and even music, like learning classical music. Uh, but none of these things panned out because the teachers were going on vacations and they were not feeling well and all that. So it was not just working out. And that's when my husband suggested that I should think about drawing and painting. And initially, when I picked it up, it was extremely frustrating because my first drawing in my life was when I drew a triangle in geometry. So it was not something I had really pursued in any sense like that. So to take baby steps after when you have been in the peak of another career and to think about another career was very daunting. So, but I persisted, and it was not like art became a passion overnight. Um, it started with slow practice. I made lots of mistakes. I was very frustrated. I was trying to copy from like landscapes that you have taken photographs of or figures and things like that. Um, and it was very frustrating, let me tell you. And slowly I began to feel some calm and peace while continuing to do that and still practicing. And like I would think about what I wanted to paint, what colors I would want to put in it, because Initially, when you're learning, you're always copying things. And gradually, I realized that art, or the process of painting, uh, was really making me feel calm and happy again. And that's when I decided that this is something that heals me. And I'm not trying to say that it's a medication if you are in trouble. It's not a substitute for that at all. But what I'm saying, that creativity of any kind will lead you or open doorways, in which you can find yourself and purpose in life again.
I think that's one of the things that we had started talking about is this idea that this broader notion of art, and I think it's always important when you can generalize an experience. I would look at the work that you do, and we're going to look at some of the pieces in just a few minutes. But it's incredible artwork. I mean, there's no question about the beauty of the art that you produce. I would look at that from my perspective, just as wow, I could never do something like that. That's well beyond my artistic skills. But one of the things that Dawn mentioned, and unfortunately Dawn is having internet issues as well, is the idea of broadening our understanding of what art is. That it can also include producing a show like this was the comment
Yes,
that she had
yes,
made. Um, you actually, before you went into art, you tried a number of other kind of
yes.
endeavors until you found art. How long did it take for you to find kind of to go to starting with art and then to get comfortable with the art, because you're it's a journey, but you're well into that journey.
Now I am, but in the beginning, like I tried singing for 3, 4 months.
Hmm.
Singing involved being in karaoke, and these were couples groups, okay? And your uncle was so busy with golf that he wouldn't take time to practice.
Yes.
And they only allowed the couples to be there if each partner contributed something. So after a while, I gave it up. I said, this is not going to work. And then I tried classical music. I bought a harmonium from India. But even that, after a few months, didn't pan out. So when I started to do painting and all, it took me a good 2 years to begin to see lights and shadows and edges, and hard edges and soft edges and all that. And Neil, like anything in life, I'm continuously still learning, because at first I tried the techniques, and then I could adapt the ideas that I had. So, and it's an ongoing journey. Like, um, education and teaching has always been part of my life, and I'm still continuing to learn. And now I have conversations with Canvas, and I have conversations with communities when they come to my shows and things like that. So it's become a lot more fulfilling, but it took a good 2 to 3 years. But it took about a year or so before I started to feel the effects of art on me. So no matter what kind of art one practices, you just have to be persistent. It's not like you're going to feel calm at the first drawing you make, and don't expect your first drawing to become a masterpiece. You are not going to start your journey creating something very big right away. You will apply to shows and you will be rejected many times. And it's an ongoing process, and it takes a lot out of you, but the more you put in it, it gives you back also. And I want to emphasize, because you talked about the kind of creativity activities, it can just be cooking. You're tense
Hmm.
and you create a dish that you like and you suddenly feel your shoulders droop and the tension out of your head go away, you garden or you sculpt. Um, you do whatever. There are some people who will just run and feel, relaxed, or by doing some kind of routine, they will feel relaxed. So there is countless number of activities which can be creative, which goes in the realm of art. And I really feel that art is one of the preventive pillars, just like the diet, sleep, exercise and all, for preventive medicine to deal with stress before it causes major symptoms.
Sure. I want to give a quick hello to a friend of mine who is watching, Stefan Kaplan, who is actually a former guest on this show. He said, sorry for being late. Jasper is his dog. He had to get walked, but he's looking forward to watching
Okay.
this discussion and watching the full discussion later. I think that, one of the things I wanted to show people, we're talking about the art that you were able to produce. This is one of the pieces that you put together. Can you tell us a little bit about this piece?
Yeah, this I made during COVID time. And it was during COVID that I liberated myself from doing the representational art that I used to do before that. Um, there was a call from Washington Post about submitting COVID art. And that was a frustrating and very scary time for everybody. And my first instinct was to be in the front row and go and help and take care of the patients, but it was not possible. So I put my mind into creating pieces of art related to what COVID was doing. And they ranged from, like, doctors, initially there was a lot of mortality with COVID before we learned how to take care of it and the vaccine came out. So when the vaccine came out, this is like a representation of a hand trying to
Mm-hmm.
capture the COVID virus, although some of it is still dissipating out in the space. And I put it in the hand and I put stamps of the world. I could only accommodate 60 countries, but I called it the world united, because the whole world united to combat this pandemic, which none of us had any idea about as to from where it came and when it was going to end. All we were seeing was a lot of morbidity and mortality. But when vaccine came on the horizon and I did it, that the world united produced this to prevent further spread and to spare people who had not contracted the virus yet and all. Um, so that was a very fulfilling piece. There were other pieces I made too. Um, and the year after that, I was approached by the Center of Disease Control from Atlanta, that they wanted to use this image for the cover of their journal on emerging infectious diseases, which was on COVID-19. So that was a very fulfilling moment for me. I felt like my art and medicine came together, and I was very happy at that honor.
Sure, sure. And then this other piece that you did, and I'll take the header off so we can see it. And I want to welcome back Dawn, my co-host. She had some technical issues. Hopefully, she'll be able to stay, and we'll be able to get her microphone to work properly. But this is another piece that you shared with us. Can you tell us what this represents for you?
I have titled this painting "Elusive Woman." Um, standing up for women's empowerment is one of my passions and missions. So I paint women as presence, uh, empowering roles. I paint them as role models. I really create emotions like, determination or courageous and things like that, and show them in stances like that. But this one is elusive in the sense that you can't know what she's thinking. She's there, and part of her is not there, kind of abstracted. Um, so to me, these kinds of pieces are representational of women who have been quiet and been overlooked, but they are always there. And this is the kind of fate of many women in retirement when they become empty nesters, when they have to go through a divorce, or um, they lose a job, or whatever other difficulties they may face. This is kind of a representation of women, that it's only one of the paintings, but I try to show them as role models so people can look up to it. And I often will make them totally abstracted so that every woman can identify with it.
I'm curious. I mean, there's a lot of a lot that a piece like this is carrying and conveying. Um, it's clearly something that you uh, have thought through, and maybe the art came out and you kind of understood it later, or you had a vision, you had an idea of what you wanted to convey, and you drew the this piece, or painted this woman intentionally to convey that. Um, but before you answer that question, I'm curious if you did have these ideas earlier. Uh, had you found other ways of expressing this uh, concern, this intentionality, this challenge that women face, the issues they deal with? Had it come out before?
You mean before I started doing art?
Yeah,
Um, I faced it as an immigrant brown woman every day of my career. So I was always conscious of it, but I was able to overcome it because of my performance. And, many times these kinds of attitudes lead to like imposter syndrome in women
yeah,
or anybody
sure.
else, as to that you are not good enough. But I think you just have to face life and be brave and just continue doing what you need to do so that people will slowly start noticing what is happening and who is performing and who is rising to the top and who is performing better than anybody else before you get that recognition. So I have lived through many of these experiences, as I'm sure many other women have and are still going through, because it's still a men's world, to be honest with you.
Of
And
course.
I had read somewhere when I was in traveling in Australia, um, that it's going to take another 200 years before women get really equal status in all spheres. So I think we have a lot of progress and a lot of fighting to do.
I can certainly understand that,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate that's the case.
Yes.
Um, Dawn, I just want to check on your microphone. We turned your camera off. Uh, if you unmute yourself, does your audio work? Um,
I hope so. This is
yes,
I
we
am
got a little bit of Dawn's audio.
absolutely mortified right now at my internet connection.
You were going in and out a little bit, but I think that we would be able to get. Do you have anything that you want to ask Dr. Tolia, or any comment while we have you? We're having trouble getting Dawn's audio. I will ask her. I will send her a message, and if she can send me a message in the chat, I will ask it for her, and we'll do it that way. So and we'll just move on. The next piece is this one, which is a little bit more abstract. Right?
It's totally abstract. And I call this space spaces of our minds, because, you know, our brain is such a complex but such a unique organ and controls so many things. Um, being a physician, you also compartmentalize some of the feelings, because when you take care of the patients and something bad happens to them or things are not going right in the hospital, you can't always bring everything home and let it overtake you. So you have to compartmentalize and leave some of that morbidity back in the hospital before you do it. So when I start a painting, I want to tell you, Neil, I don't always have the end result in my mind.
Mm,
It's something that evolves as time goes on. Sometimes if I don't like and something, I will just paint over it and do that area again. So it's the total thing, that really matters. This is a 4 feet by 4 feet painting, and it's in the corporate headquarters of a corporation in their conference room. And they tell me that it really makes them wonder and think as to what these marks are about. And they look at it, when they are in the middle of discussions, and it helps soothe them and calm them and also stimulate them, because the colors and quiet and the busy areas and all that, there are so many nuances in art that I'm learning as I'm continuing to do it. But I don't plan on having something right away, especially with an abstract piece. Obviously, if it's a figurative piece, you have to be more controlled. But in an abstract piece, you can just let yourself go and continue to experiment and let it evolve.
yeah. No, that's really great. For folks who may have missed the beginning, I just want to restate the blog post that Vasu Tolia wrote. Vasu Tolia is also my aunt. I refer to her as Vasu Auntie. But she wrote, when the structure of my medical career was gone, I found myself asking a question I'd never fully prepared for. Who am I now? What was left? There were days when I felt invisible, unmoored, and unsure of my place. The blog post is when art opened the door back to myself. And I'll share a link to that. Again, my co-host is Dawn Newberg, and unfortunately, we're having difficulty with her internet. So she is a presence in the show. I believe she can hear everything. And if I get a message from her, I'm chatting with her. So what she says, I'll have to convey her thoughts, Vaswanti. But she says, I love the painting with the woman that was partially there. I'm curious about how the feeling transpired. Kind of what feelings you have when you're actually painting. She knows that when she writes, there are often different emotions that pour out. And Dawn has written particularly about her own personal story, and it's very, very moving. But what's the emotional kind of experience that you have when you're painting something like this piece?
Um, so first of all, I had drawn this woman as if sitting on a chair, but then I wasn't sure what I wanted to place in front of her, because I wanted her to have a feeling of like meditation, but also introspection and certain elusiveness about, that she could be harboring a lot of emotions that and responsibilities that she was carrying quietly. And the family, the world, the community just doesn't recognize or underestimates everything that women hold and do. That she wants to find herself into what she is becoming, and probably how she can project herself to be a better person. So I kind of purposely made the front part or the right side of the uh, painting as it was happening more abstract, whereas she has at least a figurative semblance and presence, but the rest of the painting is quite abstract. So it's really left to viewers' imagination also, Neil and Dawn. A piece of art is never complete until the viewer connects with it. And to me, she is elusive but stands for herself. somebody else who looks into her may find some other qualities that I have not even connected with. So this is really a conversation between the viewer and the piece of art rather than the maker. I can tell you what my inspiration was, but if you didn't know what it was and you just looked at it, you might connect with it in a different way. You may not even like it and move away, or you may love it enough to want to stare at it for an hour. So, this
Hmm.
is a very subjective feeling that a piece of art evokes in the viewer that ultimately matters more than what matters to me when I created it.
And my friend Stephen Kaplan says that he loves your work. Purpose and passion in life are everything. Your journey and work shows that and more. And as a reminder for folks, our guest, Dr. Vasu Tolia, was a physician for, I think it was 30 plus years in terms of career, raised two wonderful sons, twins, Sanjay and Vinay. And as she, got to the end of her medical career, realized that, she was losing a sense of herself and a sense of identity and felt a bit lost, a bit unmoored. And she tried different things, music and singing, but it was art that brought her out of that place. And she's been incredible, has an incredible career, a second career as an artist. How long now? When was it that you really? When would you say that you started your career as an artist?
I started to learn from about 2014. So
2014. So more
I,
than 12 years now.
yeah. So I started taking lessons first and all, and I did a few, but mostly I am self-taught. Um, I love to experiment and learn on my own too, but I do take workshops from time to time to learn different techniques or whatever else I want to experiment with. So it's an ongoing, continuous learning process.
And another question that Dawn has is she's curious about, um, you know, not so much in terms of what she is seeing or what someone else sees as a viewer, as you mentioned, but she really wants to understand how does it connect with the healing process, the process of kind of becoming whole again. Um, there's I think there's a there's something that the art it does it you're creating this art and it's a conversation and it's something for viewers to kind of engage with and look at. But do you have, I mean, do these pieces, if they're in a gallery or if they're sold, they go elsewhere? But some of them also live at home. You have a beautiful piece right behind you,
Yes.
on your wall, uh, and that I was going to ask you to tilt up to see that. What does it do for you to see things like that at home? I know for me personally. So we talked about how there are different forms of art, and certainly, and I appreciated that Dawn was trying to encourage me to think beyond just my sense that I don't do art. That producing a show like this can be considered art. But I will say that photography is something that I've been very interested in and active in, and we have over time. For example, behind my wall, I did this intentionally, and I'll make it a little bit bigger for people to see. You can just make out some pictures that we have from our trip to Maui several years ago. I intended to switch these pictures up on a regular basis, but I've left my Maui pictures up there, except for one picture on this side that Emily took of a turtle under when we were snorkeling. The rest are landscapes that I took. I get great joy out of seeing my art on the walls. We have other pictures in the living room that we've turned into canvas pieces, uh, pieces from Chincoteague in Virginia, a vacation place, and one picture from the Skagit Valley Tulip Festival in Washington State. Even two pieces from a botanical garden that just looked really
Mhm.
nice. So I know that for me, it brings me a sense of calm. It brings me a sense of um, some there's some sense of accomplishment. In my own life when I've had anxiety, some depression. I've talked about the ADHD that I was diagnosed with just 2 years ago at 51. But there are times when I might be doubting myself or questioning. Um, it helps to have something on the wall that I can look up to and say, "Hey, I did that, and that came out pretty well. I can feel good about that." Does that work? Does it work
Yes.
that way for you at all?
Yes, and Neil, photography is a very real form of art. So you should have no doubt about being an artist yourself.
Well, and I thought of it because my friend Stefan Kaplan was watching, and he is an incredible photographer. So
Yeah.
that's what gave me that
Yes.
inspiration.
Yes. Let me tell you a little bit in very simple terms about the neurobiology of it,
Mm,
because I experienced this calm and positivity, as I was working with art and continue to feel that. Um, I have started to learn more about neuroarts, which is a very emerging science. And what happens is that when you are focusing on something and taking your mind off whatever else is hovering in your subconscious or in the back of your mind, um, the more senses you use, like, when you do art, you are using your hands and eyes and things like that. If you're dancing, you are using your motor function. Usually people dance to music, so you're listening to sound, plus there is a rhythm and all that. So all these, the more senses you involve, the more focused you get. And when you get focused like that, your forebrain, which is the front part of your head, releases the happy neurotransmitters like dopamine, and
mm,
they calm you down and make you feel more focused and take the negative thoughts out of your mind. So those are, some of the very subtle and the proven benefits of art or any kind of creativity. Like I said, that, gardening is an art, or crocheting or knitting or whatever somebody fancies that gives them pleasure is their form of art. So art is not necessarily limited to just painting and drawing. Sculpting, especially, or working with ceramics and all, um, working with textures and all helps with children and adults with neurodivergent spectrum also quite a bit. So there are so many other benefits, but I want to absolutely emphasize that these are benefits that are subjective. Um, I have seen people with problems to whom art may not appeal at all. So it's not the same for everybody. But when it does help you and you persist at it, then you will find that you're working in a more positive frame of mind and taking some of that stress out of your mind.
mm. Well, thank you for walking through that.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, as you found yourself, as you maybe reimagined yourself in this second career, you've also become pretty active in various causes and supporting different non profits. One of them is a group called No Shame on You, which
Yes.
does a lot of mental health advocacy,
Yes.
particularly for teens. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's really for all ages. It's for
Hmm.
anybody. And uh, all my causes I have handpicked, but No Shame on You is about helping people, getting them aware about mental health and depression and seeking help. Um, because, the earlier you seek help, it can help you. Um, People with these kinds of conditions often feel isolated, and art can definitely make them give a voice or language to something they are not able to connect with, otherwise. um, but it's raising the awareness and making sure that seeking help or voicing your concerns is not anything you need to be ashamed of. And that's why I love the name, that if you have a problem, it's not a shame on you. It's something that you can solve if you seek help, hopefully in most cases. But there is a wide range of all these conditions. So the earlier you seek intervention or seek help, the less isolated, less lonely you will feel. And art is a way of making conversations with all these kinds of people. um, because you can't ask somebody, if somebody is looking sad, are you depressed? That will suddenly just turn them off. But you could talk to them tactfully. When people are at my shows at times, when one piece was sold, the gallerist told me that the painting had to hang there until the show ended. And that
Mm.
person told her that I dream about that piece because it gives me a lot of peace. She took a picture and said, I can't live without it. And that was kind of one of the highest compliments I felt. So, to I really like to support these kinds of charities. Besides No Shame in You, I also support Lifting Up the Vulnerable, which is for trafficked women and children. And another
Yes.
one is Ted Lindsay Foundation, which is also for neurodivergent spectrum people. Uh, then I donate percentage of sales from my works to these charities because I would like to raise awareness, help them raise funds, because I feel doing these kinds of activities is part of the healing that I want to continue to do. And this is what my art to want to do, and my passions for helping all these missions, that I really want to pull forward and continue to serve this way, and heal people, help people heal this way by either watching art. And you asked me earlier about that you enjoyed looking at the photographs you have taken.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there is a thing called museum effect, that people who don't even create art, that even when they go and visit museum and look in art for an hour, that can be very calming and fulfilling. So
So we're
that
showing.
can get
Sorry,
service. No,
sorry
so
to interrupt you. I was just showing the website for Lift Up the Vulnerable.
yes,
Transform the world by empowering the most vulnerable. Invest in vulnerable children and women at risk to human trafficking by empowering them to be change makers in Sudan and South Sudan. So I just
yes,
want to give people a sense of the kind of work, kind of organization that you support. Another one you mentioned as well, the Ted Lindsay Foundation.
yes,
And this is, I'll make it a little smaller, so empowering lives, supporting autism. The Ted Lindsay Foundation and their mission, they're a nonprofit organization inspired by a deeply personal connection to autism that is
yes.
dedicated to making a meaningful difference in the lives of individuals with autism spectrum disorder. How did you come to support a group working on autism? Was there a
I,
personal
yeah,
connection?
uh, personal in the sense that I have taken care of patients with or autistic patients with GI problems, because my specialty was pediatric gastroenterology, and I obviously saw patients who were very sick. Um, but the kind of things that the families and the caregivers faced has always stayed with me. And at one of the fundraisers, I was asked to donate a piece, and I gave one of my paintings, and it was purchased by um, radio personality called Frank Beckman, who was on WJR radio station in Detroit. And then
Mm,
he interviewed me on the radio about what I had done and things like that. And since then, I have been attached with that foundation, and I find very fulfilling, to give them donations or support them through the sales of my paintings. And also, these are some of the things that you're passionate about and you want to contribute to them, because it makes you feel that you're doing something to help heal and have purpose in life that is ongoing.
sure, sure. No, I think that's wonderful, and it's well known that being able to find uh, an outlet, a charitable organization that you can support, brings you benefits as well in terms of
Yes.
your
Yes.
own peace of mind. I want to share just a couple of comments. And we were talking about photography earlier. Um, Stefan says, I honestly don't know what I would do without photography. It does so much for my entire being. When he was a guest on our show, he talked about how he uses photography with mindfulness and to really, when he goes out to, and I know there's a nature preserve near where he lives, he'll go out and shoot the fauna, the flora. There are ducks that live there, that I've seen a lot of pictures of. But it really does for him. He becomes very focused, very kind of slows down his breathing, and it really does help keep everything, all the craziness that we deal with. And I was listening to a piece on the radio today, in fact, that our world has become much more unpredictable,
Yes.
and our tolerance for unpredictability has actually gone down, so it feels worse. And so when you can actually calm yourself down, it certainly helps. And this is that's what Stefan was
Yes.
talking about with that. And my mom, of course, your cousin, says it's so nice that you've been able to help others through
Thank you,
your
Sudhavan.
art,
Yeah.
and that it's talking about the broad spectrum of art, and looking, it also works as therapy. um, and I know that Dawn shared with me, so I've been messaging with Dawn. One of the things that she talks about is that art is one of the most important parts of healing for people who've experienced trauma,
Yes.
particularly around sexual violence. The art therapy, and I know this is not, you're not talking about art therapy, that's a whole different thing. But just the role that art can play in healing more
Yes.
broadly, I think
Yes.
is really instructive. um,
Yes.
I want to share with folks your website, and particularly you're making a document available to our viewers. Um, so I want to bring that up on screen for folks, and I'll share the link in the chat and on screen. This create 5 creative practices to navigate your next chapter. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Uh, this is a simple downloadable guide that gives you some baby steps to occupy yourself in a meaningful way and find purpose back again. So when you have time, it you just have to do it for 5 days to just get a hang of it. But then you have to continue to do it with whatever you want to do. It can be a different form of exercise every day, and people like to know more about it. I'm very happy to answer them if they will, reach me up from the website or something like that. But it will really help you reconnect with your creativity, but you have to give it time. Like I said, that nothing happens overnight. It's a practice and ongoing exercises, that helps you lift out of the shadows. But if anybody needs any kind of formal therapy, I would highly recommend that they get it first and use only this as an ancillary or side therapy or procedure, that might help you come together again. I really want to emphasize that art is not a cure. It is just a supportive way of coming out of the shadows.
Thank you. We need to find different therapies, different ways to kind of deal with some of the challenges we face. You mentioned therapy as one of them. It's something that I've been seeing a therapist for since college, off and on. Mostly, when I was not seeing a therapist is because I was moving from one city to another and hadn't found a new therapist. I think that's the key. Therapy certainly has a role for people, and it can certainly help. I know someone who's actually going to be doing outpatient therapy, but 8 hours a day for several weeks, because of the intensity of what that person's going through. It's really just a question of finding what works for you at the end of the day. What combination, whether it's medication, whether it's therapy, whether art has a role to play. I think that we certainly need to talk about this more.
And they can just do gardening, rearrange a room, or knit, crochet, whatever they want to do. They can do, as long as they have realized that this is what makes me more peaceful and calm.
So this free guide is 5 creative practices to navigate your next chapter. You can get it if you go to the website, vasutolia.art/shining light on shadows, and it's shining light on shadows. I also put the link in Facebook for folks who are watching there, and we will share with people as well. Just want to, the other bullets are: reconnect with your creativity, navigate life transitions with clarity. It's practical and accessible. No artistic background required. And you learn from a physician turned artist. Gain insights from Dr. Vasundhara Tolia's personal journey of reinvention, healing, and creativity. Again, for folks who may be joining us late, our guest has been Dr. Vasu Tolia. That's the formal title, but she is really a Vasu auntie for me. She is my mom's cousin, and it means a lot that she was on the show with us today, talking about how art helped her navigate this transition after finishing a medical career. And we talked about mental health and therapy, and the different ways in which different ways that people can find help and seek help. But it's not a conversation that is often had in the South Asian community, much less my parents' generation. You're in my mom's generation, and it means a lot that you joined us on this show. I want to get a comment from Deborah Kerr. She says, "When I travel, I use my photography and art to share what I'm seeing and sharing with others. Also, I make art cards and postcards." And Deborah has shared some with me, and they're really, really good. Yeah. It's good to be creative. Thank you for sharing your experiences. So I think there's some appreciation.
It's my honor and privilege to be on your show, Neil. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll be sharing both the link to the full video and to clips afterward, so people can hear some of your insights. Again, our host was Dr. Vasu Tolia, my co-host, Dawn Newberg. And unfortunately, she had technical issues, was not able to be on camera. And I did read out some of the questions she had, but I know that she was very much looking forward to the conversation and understanding the role that art plays. So thank you for spending the evening with us, and we'll be in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye.